A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for joining in. Uh, this is Global Professional Certifications, your gateway to global certifications. Everyone, today what we are going to do is an orientation program, and this is where let me quickly set out the agendas for today's session. A lot of you, I can see new names, and that's where we'll have a quick introduction, everyone. This is where I'll probably introduce myself to you all. And then what we'll do in today's session is we'll take a quick overview of the CIA course. And this is where we'll talk everything about the CIA, which is where what are the steps to become a CIA, what is your starting point by starting maybe let's say becoming a IA member. What is the fee cost for this program? What is the registration process? What are you going to learn in this whole entire course? How is it going to benefit? What is the examination pattern? We'll also talk about Risk Galaxy, everyone, which is where what are the different service lines wherein we can add value to organization and how we can contribute to different service lines by doing CIA like certification. We'll talk about study material. We'll talk about approach towards our preparation. We'll talk about global employment standards. And finally, we are going to open the house from a Q&A standpoint of view. So I would sincerely request everyone that while the session is about an hour session, we'll try to optimize as much as time possible. But I would request you all to please park your questions for some time and hear me out for some time. And then, if you still have any queries, we'll not close the session without or resolving all your queries. So please stay tuned till the last. All right. So let me quickly start, everyone. I hope you're clear with the agenda for today's session. Let me quickly start about myself. So, everyone, I'm Arpit Garg. I am a chartered accountant, a certified employer, a certified risk management and insurance professional, and a certified information system auditor. So pretty much I've done CA, CIA, CRMS, CISA, have over 1.5 decade experience in risk assurance advisory. Started my career back in 2011 with Sahni Natarajan and Behel. Moved to Genpact ERC and followed with ENY. Since 2019 onwards, ventured into my own firm, which is now known as Riskman. So Riskman is something that I've been running for almost 6, 7 years, and we serve across sectors. And it's pretty much a purely a risk assurance and advisory boutique firm, specialized purely into risk consulting and risk assurance engagements, uh, wherein we basically work on enterprise risk services as well as the IT risk services. Uh, Regarding the journey for from a CIE standpoint of view, I started my journey back in 2020, everyone, in the COVID days, which is where I started teaching CIA, and that's where I was earlier part of VGLD, Vinod Gupta Learning Destination, and at this point of time, I am mentoring global professional certifications. So everyone, I have cross-sector exposure, be it retail, be it automobile, FMCG, technology, pharma, edtech, EPC, telecom, insurance, and have gotten exposure across the across various geographies. From a US standpoint of view, APEC standpoint of view. I'm based out of Gurgaon, everyone, and you can see my credentials. So if you have any queries, you can later on also reach out to me separately. Everyone, I'm not purely a teacher like a teacher or purely a faculty, but Monday to Friday when I run Riskman, we are into a lot of services that way. So I share a lot of perspective from an industry standpoint of view in our sessions, which are more relevant from a practical islands also. So Saturdays and Sundays are where I share knowledge around the CIA and CISA as a subject, and help professionals to attain these certification, global certification, adding the industry relevance to them also. So this is very brief about me, everyone. Now I'll just talk a little bit about the journey of a CIA. Everyone, I started this journey back in 2020. Like I said, this was all voluntary. I was probably the first faculty back those days who started teaching all voluntary, free of cost for the first almost 2 years. Did almost five odd batches. 50 plus CIAs in those days got qualified, and then everyone I India first learning partner was VGLD, and that's where I got associated with VGLD and 88 Learn, Singapore-based organization. This is part of the same group, and this is where from 2022 to 2024, in just 3 years span, I've probably trained 1,000 plus professionals from a CIA standpoint of view, only from a for CIA certification. And this was part-wise journey, everyone, that we were doing with VGLD. In 2023, when the CIA challenge exam came in, that's where I also got engaged with IA Bombay chapter, which is where we had an MOU executed between IA Bombay and me as a faculty. And now, by now, we have done 7 batches for CIA challenge exam. again linked to the same course, and that's where I'm mentioning this, and have trained more than 200 plus experienced professionals with a success rate of close to 70 odd percent. So people, December 2024 is when the global professional certification was launched, and uh, this is where we I started mentoring from a global professional certifications, and this became the IA authorized learning partner. In just 15 months from now, we have close to 400 plus learners with just 100 plus CIAs and another 100 plus people who have cleared part wise different parts, be it part one, part two, or part three, and various parts. And they are almost in their last legs to become CIAs. So in just 15 months, we have another 200 odd CIAs that we are expecting to be completed, with which 100 plus are already cleared and another 100 are in the last leg of becoming CIAs. So this is our journey, everyone, from a CIA standpoint of view. Now I'll talk a little bit about the course. I'm sure you all would have enrolled, and all of you would have aspired to become CIA for a long time. Some of you would be recent in your journey of getting into the profession or would have started your career, and some of you would be having a significant exposure in the domain, and I'm sure you would be aspiring to become a CIA for a long time. So people, I think whatever is in everyone's mind, let me just be very, very honest. CIA is a truly globally recognized certification, and I can sense it very closely because in just last couple of years, we have more than 1,500 odd professionals that have personally trained. Not just from a private sector standpoint of view, but globally, any which ways it was always recognized, and now, in fact, if some of you are from India based, CIE is a lot focused in India, and not just the private sector, but also the government sector. So uh, it's a flagship program, everyone, and the CIE certification issued by IIA globally. So it's not a India-based exam; it's a global exam. Everyone goes through the same course, and everyone sort of appear for the same exam. So it's a flagship certification. CIE is a flagship certification for IA, everyone. And IA recommends every employers to pursue and possess CIE certification. And that's the beauty of this course. Now, why do we become certified, everyone? If you look at from a service standpoint of view, and this is more like more from an India service standpoint of view, 55% and more CAEs in India alone believe that CIE add values. If you look at from a global islands, everyone, this percentage becomes much higher to 90 plus. And I'm talking about just 55% from an India standpoint of view because it has much emerged recently. A lot of CAs have started preferring to hire CIAs in India. Earlier, it was more global, and of course, the pay packages for the CIA is also significantly more and increasing day by day as compared to the non globally certified the professionals. So, I think that's a couple of reasons. I think from a overall value standpoint of view, if I have to talk about couple of steps, everyone, that is required to become CIAs, there are certain steps that we need to do. So the first step, it starts with a entry level requirement, which is where you have to check your eligibilities, and I'm sure most of you would be at least graduates. So if you're at least a graduate, you have a bachelor degree. You can enroll for this course of for your journey from a CIA standpoint of view, and then you can always, or if you at least a bachelor degree is required to start your journey. And this is where what is the steps, everyone? The first step would be probably for you to become an IA India member. So let me cover the steps and I'll come back to the previous slide. So the first step, everyone, for you is to become an IA India member, and it's a very simple step. You just go on IA India website, or let's say if you are a global member, just go to your respective global IIA website. So if you're from IA UAE, you can go to IA UAE. If you're in IA UK, you can go to IA UK. If you are in IA US, you can write IA Global. Like that, you can go to the respective email ID, respective website, and just go and choose for becoming a member. People for I India explicitly, I'm telling out the fees, and from a global standpoint of it could be a different fee. So you may just go on the website and look for this. So once you click in on the website, everyone, you will go to the new member section, and then you can just take IA India membership, which cost you for the first year 6,500 plus GST, which is 4,500 as the annual membership fee plus 2,000 for the first time registration cost. annually next year onwards you will have to pay 4500 plus GST. Now people, this is an optional choice to become an IA member, but we strongly recommend to be a member, member of the IA community, because it has a lot of benefits. First of all, the certification cost itself reduced significantly, and I'll touch upon that on the following slide. But it's good to be a member to start with. So once you have that membership ID, everyone, it takes close to 2 odd weeks to become to get a member ID, and this is while you are I India member and or a respective member across near to your chapter. If you're, let's say you are in India and you're based out of Delhi, it's good to take a Delhi chapter membership. If you are in Bombay, it's good to take a Bombay chapter membership, and so people across the globe. You can take respective chapter membership which is closer to your location. The reason is you network better to the people and the events that are initiated by the respective chapters, and so it helps you for from a community development standpoint of view as well. But the ID that you receive is not for the chapter or not for the local chapter that you have enrolled. Everyone, it stays as a global ID. So you get a global ID, and it takes close to 2 weeks to get this ID. Once you have that ID, you basically go on CCMS portal. So what is CCMS portal, everyone? There's something called Certificate Candidate Management System. The URLs are given, the website, the PDFs and the PPTs can be shared, everyone. So don't worry about that later on. So you just go on the cms.ia.org. Once you click in here, you create your profile in the Certificate Candidate Management System, and then apply for CIA course. Uh, Everyone, the first time you're making for enrolling for the course, you have to make a payment of $90 plus tax. So people in India, the cost is $106 is what you pay for the CIA course. And once you have made the course prepayment, you get 3 years to complete this course. All right, so that's your step. Then once you have applied for the course, everyone, the next step is you need to upload your documents, which is where you need to prove your identity, which is where you can submit your passport or a government issued license or some other photo identity, which is government approved on your profile, along with the proof of education, at least bachelor degree. So once you upload all of this, the next step is to make the payment. So then basically you enroll for the CIE course. Now you have 3 years to do it. The next step would be everyone is all about your preparation. So you prepare for your course. And in fact, the interesting part is that once so CIA is a three-part exam, also a challenge exam. So there are two routes of doing the CIA. One is the part-wise exam, one is the challenge exam, which is a one-shot exam. Now, everyone, in the part-wise exam, part one, part two, part three, once you have applied for the CIA course, you have 3 years to do it. And I'm going to touch upon more on the part-wise, everyone, rather than challenge today. So part-wise, you have part one, part two, part three. So you can decide on which part you want to appear. Let's say you have to appear for part one, as we are starting with part one session series, then you can always make the payment, and you have 180 days to register for your exam. So once you've made the payment, everyone, then this exam has to be given from the nearest Pearson View Center. So most of the cities have a Pearson View Center, which is an exam center. So this is where you go on your CCMS account back and select the date of your nearest examination center, whichever you want to appear, and then you schedule your exam. So these are few steps that are required, everyone, to enroll to become right from becoming an IA member to getting your membership ID and to enrolling for the course and then taking the examination window from examination window. So I hope this is clear, everyone. Now, let me just quickly touch upon the member saving, and then I'll come back to the a little bit more about the course structure. So everyone, if you see carefully on the screen, the pricing is as below. So if you see, if you're a non-member, and this is where I was mentioning to become a member, how is it beneficial? So if you see, if you're a non-member, the application fee alone for the CIA exam is going to be $240. And then if you see part one, part two, part three, the exam fee is going to be about $445. $415 and $415 plus taxes in respective countries, right? So let's say from an India standpoint of view, the cost will be $240 plus 18% just for application fee. And then part one, part two, part three, 445, 415, $415 plus 18% GST is what it's going to be levied from a if you're a non-member. And as compared to, and then if you see global member, A global member, let's say if you're in UAE or if you're in UK or if you're in US, generally a global member get a pricing of application fee of $120 and part one, part two, part three of 310, 280, and $280. So this is the pricing. And if you have again any applicable taxes in your country, then this that could also be then those taxes could also be levied. People in India, everyone, if you are an IA India member, if you are an IA India member, and if you are an IA India member, everyone, so for you the application fee is much substantially low. So from a $240 to straight $90 is the fee. And likewise for part one, part two, part three, it's again $232, $210, and $210 respectively. But this is excluding taxes. So with taxes, it costs you $106. 274, 248, and $248. So that's your exam fee and that's your application fee. So collectively, if you see, you end up paying close to $742 for your end-to-end CIA application to CIA exams. And this is the fee that you pay to the IIA, right? So basically, this is your application fee and the respective part-wise fee. So if you are a non-member, everyone, you will end up paying $1,515, which is excess cost of $772. So that's one of the key reasons. That's why we say you should be becoming an IA member. All right, be it a global member or be it a India member. So if you're in India, definitely India. People outside India, it's good to be a global member. Globally, sometimes the taxes are not levied, so more or less the cost difference is not too much that way. So this is one important thing, everyone, that we have to be careful, and that's why becoming IINDA member is always good. And it's not just about the certification, everyone. There are so many initiatives that IIA India does, or for that matter, any IIA chapter would do that is very lucrative and valuable for people in the profession. So you can be part of networking events, you can be part of so many webinars and trainings that IIA conducts by the industry leaders, and that could help you another and so much of knowledge base, knowledge portal resources that is recurringly issued with a strong WhatsApp community is something that could really help you to be part of the profession and to be connected to so many other professionals. So right from the webinars to networking events to conferences and to even job opportunities are all shared with the members by the respective chapter leaders and the BOG members and the coordinators, and that's where you become part of the strong community. So I hope this is very clear of why to become a INDA member, everyone. That not just help you with the lower certification cost, but it also help you to stay connected with your community. Now coming back to the steps to be certified internal auditor, everyone. So like I said, the entry requirement is just to you to be a bachelor. And the step is, like I said, you take your membership ID, you take your membership, and then you get your global ID, and then you basically on your CCMS you will create your account and then submit your proof of identity and education. And once you have paid your CIA registration cost, you have how much time? You have total 3 years to complete all your CIA requirements. All right, so this is important, everyone. Only in extreme scenarios and hardship, this time period can be extended, but it is 3 years of the period from the day, not from the day you have taken your IA membership fee or from the day you have paid your exam for your CIA registration cost. Can you all please type in when is the 3 years period time clock starts counting in? From the day you have taken become an IA member or from the day you have paid for your CIA registration course? What is it, everyone? It is the day from the day from the uh, yeah, CIA registration course, right? So be careful on that. That's one thing. Now, everyone, once, like I said, once you have enrolled for this course, the another interesting part, and this links to the commitment that you can make is, everyone, once you start your journey, um, sometimes what happens is because there's no such specific exam window wherein you have to go and appear for the exam. So it's not like that, okay, you have enrolled for the course, now you have to appear for the exam within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. So you can do and keep stretching it till 3 years also. But all of you, I'm sure, want to do this quicker and faster. And this is where another interesting opportunity comes in, wherein let's say you start your course, you can even just pay for your exam fee right away, which is part one exam fee. If let's say you have paid, once you've paid the fee, it's not that the same day you have to schedule your exam. So you again get 180 days to schedule your exam. Okay. And so that's where the commitment comes into place. This is where you can stay committed that, okay, irrespective of what happens, I'll have to appear in 180 days, right? So once you have made the fee payment, it's not that the same day, same time, along with the fee payment, you have to schedule your exam. So once you have made the payment, you can always schedule the exam in the next 180 days. This is going to be the nearest peers. You can just take any nearest peers new view center and go and give the exam from the center. So you can't appear for this exam from home. You have to go to the nearest Pearson View Center. So that's one. People, important note here is that the cost, there's a cost to reschedule. So you will have to be very careful on when you're scheduling for the exam. So if you want to reschedule, you can always reschedule 48 hours before your scheduled time, but then it will cost you $75 plus taxes. So which is again close to 90 plus dollars that you have to pay for rescheduling. So you will have to be very mindful of when you schedule for exam, you don't have to sort of reschedule because it's almost half the cost of, or near to half the cost that you will be paying for just rescheduling. So that's one thing that you will have to be careful about. Now, this exam, like I said, is a three-part exam: part one, part two, part three. Part one is having 125 MCQs, everyone. Part two and part three has 100 MCQs. And this is a very simple MCQ based exam. So you get a question and you have four options and you have to choose one. So it's not subjective. You don't have to memorize or learn for a long time. The important and critical element of this exam is to be conceptually clear. It's 100% objective, everyone. So you get one question, four option. You have to choose the best available. Um, the time period is also a little shorter for this exam. So 125 MCQs, you have to do it in 2.5 hours. So you get 150 minutes basically for part one, and then you get 2 hours each for part two and part three. So for 100 MCQs, you get 120 minutes alone, only just 2 hours to do it. So that makes the exam a little tougher because you have to be very careful about the time management. But like I said, it's an objective exam, so it is achievable with the right set of guidance, right set of clarity of the concepts, and various techniques that we learn in the session series that will help you to answer faster and better. But this is how the exam pattern works. People, there's no break, of course. If it's a 2 hour exam, there's no schedule break. Similarly, for part one, 2.5 hour exam, no schedule break as such. If you want to take a break, you can always take a break, but that will be the clock will be running and then it will be counted in your exam time. And another interesting part of the CIE exam that makes it again challenging, everyone, is you have to score above 80% to clear each of these parts. So part one, you have to score above 80%. Likewise, part two, part three also you have to score above 80%. And that makes this exam more tougher and more interesting. There's no negative marking, but it's a scale-based course. I've seen people who scored 599 also, by the way. So people, you don't get your result answer sheet, so you don't know where you have gone wrong. And if you pass, you get just a pass score, so you really don't get what exactly is your exact score also. So exam can be done in India and abroad. In India, we only do it at Pearson View Center. The retake policy, there's also a retake policy, everyone, that if you are not able to clear this exam, you can always appear after 30 days. You may see a window that is available online even if you have appeared, and it may show that okay, you can register next 5 days also, but it is highly recommended you don't do it because you're not eligible ideally as per the policy. And so the results could be void even if they register. So ideally they should not register, but if you get that option, don't take it unless 30 days have passed away from the last exam date. uh, People, you can give in any pattern. So you want to appear for part three first, or part two first, and then part one, or then part one and then part three and then part two. Any sequence is okay. It's not that you have to do part one then part two and then part three. So any of the sequence is fine here. But we strongly recommend you go part wise, part one and then part two and then part three, and that's the best way to kind of approach for your preparation. Now, everyone, while there is no no, or only have a bachelor degree as an entry requirement, but there is an exit requirement from an experience standpoint of view. So if you're just a BCom graduate or you are just a graduate for that matter, while you can appear for the exam, but just to get the certificate, you will have to have minimum 2 years of experience if you're just a graduate. And if you have some form of master's degree, then in that case, or master's degree or a professional certification, in that case, 1 year of experience is needed, and that's your exit requirement, so that you get a certificate. But your scores are always going to be valid. In case anyone is a complete fresher and want to go for this course, after completing the course, you will have to do your respective experience, submit it on your CCMS portal, and once it is approved, then the next step is you get the certificate. But your results are valid that way. And everyone, it's not just you have done a CIA and it's done and dusted. Once you have done the CIA, it's important to maintain also. And how does that work? Every year you get a notification by sorry, my request is please keep yourself in mute if there is a disturbance. All right. So I'll repeat that. So every year, somewhere in November, December, you will start getting an email to renew your CIA certificate, and that's also involve a cost of $35 every year to maintain your certificate. Plus, also you have to submit a proof of CPE completion, which is your continuing professional education, to an extent of 40 hours, including 2 hours of ethics training annually. So this is another requirement to maintain your CP hours. Now, the CP hours can be based on what trainings you're doing from an IA standpoint of view, what you're doing for your from your office standpoint of view, but there has to be some proof of credit hours that you've done that you have to maintain. Now, it is all mostly a declaration based confirmation. So it's not that you have to submit the proof when you are renewing the CIA course, but on a sample basis, annually, IA may ask for under the scrutiny, may ask your CP hours evidences also. So for that, you should maintain it, and that's how you keep maintaining it. If you don't maintain it, everyone, then your CI certification can be revoked. And again, to reinstate it, you may have to again appear for, let's say, part two for a CIE exam. You will have to, if you, let's say you cleared back in 2016, and today you want to restate because you have not maintained CP, you never renewed your CIE certification, then you'll have to again give part one exam to restate that. Okay, I hope this is very clear, everyone. What does the eligibility, what is the steps, and then what is the experience requirement, and finally, how do you maintain after qualification? I'll take a pause here, everyone. And are you all clear so far in terms of the cost, what you pay to IA Global, what are the benefits of IA members, what are the steps to become certified? Can I quickly see yes or a GTG, which is good to go on the chat box, please? People, can you please type yes or a GTG on the chat box, which is a good to go? All right, great. Lovely, everyone. I'll keep moving forward as the next step. Everyone, so we are clear with the steps, we are clear with the registration process, and we are clear with the benefits of being an IA member. Now, let me talk a little bit about the course content. So, people, interesting content. So, it starts with just for reference, people, this may be used by a lot of people if you are getting connected or if you're looking at it. People may be talking about old syllabus, new syllabus. But what I'm going to talk about today is new syllabus because it's already almost a year now since it has come. Earlier, it was more treated as what is old syllabus, new syllabus. Now, for every one of you, it's all new. So it is three part. Part one has 10 chapters, and I'm giving reference of this 10 chapters through GLIM as a source of content. So part one is fundamental. So here we talk about foundation of internal auditing. This is where we understand things like what is an IA charter, what is independence, what is objectivity. We talk about risk management, stuff like that. And then we move to section B, which is very important, which stands from an ethics and professionalism standpoint of view. Then we get into the concepts of governance, risk management, and various types of control and control processes. And finally, we end it with fraud risk, which is where we understand different types of fraud schemes, fraud categories, fraud symptoms, forensics, and other aspects. So this is on the part one, which is where we build the fundamentals. Very, very interesting portion, which clear your base, logic, fundamental, and this is where we also talk about various frameworks like what is COSO ERM, what is ISO 31000 risk management framework, what is control COBIT, what is ISOs. We also talk about various prominent frameworks in this section, and along with the various control process and the different types of controls. So very, 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 very foundational and very relevant, everyone, from what we do in the profession. And then it moves to part two, which is exactly what we do practically in form of an internal audit engagement. So the part two is all about internal audit engagements, and it starts with right from engagement planning, and it talks about, okay, how do you plan for an engagement? And it sums up with preparing a work program as a section that, okay, in my engagement planning, the last step is to reach out to a work program, which gives me a direction on how do I go and execute the field work. So it talks about planning, and then it gets into fieldwork, which is where we perform the engagement, and then finally we communicate the results as an audit report. So part two is all covering that, and it's the biggest section now. 14 chapters, everyone. Very, very interesting because it covers topics around cybersecurity to emerging risk, to AI, ML, to moving on to topics like various qualities of information, various qualities of communication, data analytics, big data, and then it also touch upon the aspects of work program, work papers, supervision, quality of audit reports. So a lot of things are very, very interesting to pick it from part two. And it's mostly linked to what we do practically. And then finally, everyone, part three is all about thinking yourself as a role of a chief audit executive. Think, yeah, that okay, if I have to run my function as an employed function, and if I am a chief audit executive, how will I run my function? And that's where there are four sections and six chapters. Section A is talking about, okay, how do I run my function from an operations standpoint of view. Section B is all about how do I prepare a risk-based audit plan for the year. Section C is how do I maintain quality in my function by implementing a QIP program. And section 4 is again, section D is again all about follow-ups, engagement results monitoring related aspects. So part 3 is more like a role of a CAE. Part 2 is more like a role of what we do practically on the ground. And part 1 is all about foundation from a conceptual clarity standpoint of view. So this is how the course is structured, everyone. Now, some of you may have a query, Arpit, if I've failed part one, and let's say part two session series is going on, and can I go and appear for the part two exam? Even if I failed part one, the answer is yes, you can do it. But we strongly recommend that you stick to a part and you clear that one after the other. So let's say you're doing both the studies, and if you want to appear today, part one, and let's say tomorrow, part two, that's also works. But generally, let's say if you take a week gap, then also you can appear. So there's all of that is a flexibility, and it all depends on how you want to go for the exam. Okay, I hope you're clear with what will we learn across the three parts. Now, I've already touched upon it. Everyone, like I said, part one is a 125 MCQ exam. Part two and part three, despite part two content being high and larger, it's still 100 MCQs are tested. That's the exam pattern. For part one, you get 2.5 hours. Part two and part three, you get 2 hours for the exam. There's no break that is there, and you need to score above 80% to clear the exam. If you clear, you just get the result pass. That's exactly what we want. And if you're not able to clear, then you get a score along with the improvement areas, but you really don't get your answer sheet. So you don't know which questions you have done wrong. The only thing that we have to do is prepare again and go for the exam again. And next time it's not the same question. It may, even if all of you go all together on the same day, same center, same exam, you may not find the same MCQs, right? So this is where the conceptual clarity becomes very, very important for the exam. People, one critical myth, a lot of people think that, okay, if I picked up a question bank, be it from any source, I don't want to call out any source, but I'm sure you know the popular sources of the content. If you just pick up the course, and if you think that okay, there are 1,500 odd MCQs or 2,000 more MCQs or 1,000 MCQs, whatever the source is, I'll just pick up the questions, I'll do the questions, I'll read the answers, I'll memorize it, and I'll go for the exam. That's the worst choice you're making, because it's not about the same question that is coming in the exam. So the idea is to all about building the concept, and then trying those MCQs to help you to further enhance the clarity on the concept. And it's not about learning and memorizing those MCQs, because that's the last thing that the IA want. And if anyone follows that approach, most likely it's not going to be a very positive result, unless until one of you is super lucky person in the life, right? So otherwise, conceptual clarity is key for this exam, and that cannot be attained without that cannot be attained unless and until you 80% cannot be attained in the exam unless until you have a good conceptual clarity. So don't go with that approach. If anyone says, okay, I picked up the question bank, I did all the questions, and I went for the exam. Please don't try to memorize any of the questions for that fact, unless it is tricky and it's one of those exceptions. Understand all the concepts and whys of why this is the answer and not the other options in a given scenario, right? So you need that level of clarity for this exam. People, now let me touch upon a galaxy of services. That's a very, very interesting slide. People in the profession could probably vouch for this, and people who are aspiring to be in this is something wherein you can probably look at from an opportunity standpoint of view. Unlike other services, everyone from consulting standpoint of view, which is could be a valuation, or it could be a direct tax, or it could be a transfer pricing role, or it could be an M&A. Those are very, very specialized line in their own domain. Today, when we talk about risk as a service from an insurance and advisory standpoint, it's a very, very large practice, by the way. In fact, there's a huge demand of the risk consultants globally. Now, when I say that, if you look at the different service lines, um, it is just emerging day by day. It is just emerging day by day. We have more than 30 odd service lines within our own domain, by the way. And this is where we can do core projects like internal audit. We can do niche projects like IFC. We can pick profiles like SOX. We can do due diligence. We can do fraud forensics. We can do concurrent audits from an assurance standpoint of view. Today, people, there are specialized teams in different solutions for a company. For example, there could be specialized team for ERM, enterprise risk management. There could be a specialized team for third-party risk management. There could be specialized team for IT risk management. There could be specialized team for CSA, control self-assessment. There could be specialized team for GRC. There could be specialized team for anti-bribery, anti-corruption, anti-money laundering, credit risk, ISO compliance, cybersecurity, digitization, data privacy. You can be part of either of it. And that's why this is basically the galaxy of GRC services that you can be part of. Uh, Similarly, everyone, with the compliance moving ahead from a tax, legal, labor laws to ESG as a practice, which is environment, social governance, to CCPA or GDPRs or DPDP in India, which is mostly on the data privacy, you can be part of either of it. And not just this, everyone, you can be engaging yourself in various consulting or advisory engagements, such as helping organization develop the SOPs, automation, business excellence, re-engineering, digital transformation initiatives. You can be part of all of this. See, the horizon of being in the profession of risk consulting or a business risk consulting is that you understand the business well, and so you can be the fit across these solutions, these service lines, and the different domains that we are touching upon it. So that makes this domain very, very interesting, very, very engaging, very, very opportunistic that way. And I see a huge demand and a shortfall of the right resources in the domain, and that brings a vacuum of opportunities for you all to pick this and do this and be part of any of it. Or if you're into practice or if you're into uh, consulting, you can do various sort of engagements here. So this is very, very interesting that way in terms of the galaxy of services, everyone. I'll now move on to the study material that we will be using. So everyone, once all of you enroll with, or either of you who have enrolled or who are planning to enroll, once you enroll with us, the source of content that we use primarily is called CLIM. CLIM is authorized content provider for CIA preparation, globally accepted. All right. We only give digital books. We don't give printed books, everyone. The reasons are a couple of it. Sometimes it keeps changing, and it's very difficult to sort of keep shipping for the new latest books or the new latest editions. And that's where digital books is the best way, because these are all licensed content and there could be an additional cost that could come in for any physical dispatches. And that's where digital book is what we give everyone. Along with this, you also get access to the GLIM software valid for 18 months from the date of access activation. So you can enroll with us. You will generally get an activation code. So let's say you activate that code after 2 months, then your two after 2 months, your 18 months starts, right? So even if you get code, you can choose to, let's say, start with part one. If you're starting with part one, 18 months stays valid for that part one code. And let's say if you're starting preparing for part two after 3 months, you can use that code after 3 months, and then that 18 months start counting from that 3 months after the 3 months. So generally for each part, we have more than 1,000 odd MCQs. Um, Apart from part three generally is comparatively a lesser question because of the lesser content, but we have good number of questions to practice. And this is where you go on your GLIM software and you go under your digital book section, which is where you can see the books, and then you can go on the test bank and you can do the practice MCQs there. People, beside this, you also get uh, so this is primarily glimpse study material that we use. But then not just that, you also get concept building and summarized PPT slides that are given by us from a global professional certification. So in fact, that becomes a starting point for you, which is our PPT slide, which brings the conceptual clarity and where to focus on. Beside this, everyone, whatever sessions we do gets recorded and it is uploaded on our learning management system, which is called Global Professional Certification. So once you enroll with us, you get access to our LMS, and that's where you get access to all your recorded sessions. You get access to your topic-wise slides. You get access to your MCQs top unit-wise, and then also you get some more additional MCQs to practice that will help you to prepare better. These MCQs that we covered is not just CLIM MCQs, everyone. It is based on various experiences, and whatever based on our research has found to be more critical and more conceptual building has been accumulated for learners learning and confidence building, right? So this is how we approach everyone. So once you enroll, you get access to all of this. Now, what is our approach, everyone? Our approach is to give you a clear perspective, first of all, in whatever session we are getting into, a very clear perspective on what we are going to learn. And the next step is then after that is what are the key topics in that unit. Then we understand that conceptually via PPT slide. And I'll run through how do we go do that, everyone. And then we get into 100%. Once we have covered the slides and some MCQs on the slide, the next step is now reading the glimpse study material word by word, taking conceptual clarity with practical examples, looking at some of those practical documents that are available and that we use from a practical lens, and then followed with every unit is closed with a things to remember section on what needs to be focused. Any new session that we start, we revise what we have learned in the last session, and then we also practice MCQs right in the class and discuss in the class. So that's level of detailed session series that we do, and I'll show you how do we do, everyone. So let's start. Let's say if we are starting with part one, unit one. Let's say these are the 10 chapters, and we talk about the weightage. And I'm just talking about how do we approach everyone. So let's say when we start with unit one, foundation of accounting, we talk about okay, these are the four subtopics that we are going to cover. Uh, Within this, what are we going to learn? So within purpose of employing, what are the things that we are going to learn? Within employee charter, what are we going to learn? And since unit one is very critical, most of you see things underlined, but there would be certain units wherein there will be certain things which may not be underlined. People underline things are very, very critical for the exam, and so we have underlined for you so that you don't have to redo or miss some of the critical aspects. So we have the PPT slides are so self-explanatory and it clearly highlight where to focus on. So it starts with what we are going to learn, and then followed with the slides which basically helps everyone for you to understand how it is structured. Let's say we start with unit one, then we'll talk about what is global employment standards, how many domains, how many principles, how many standards, what has changed, and what we are going to learn across the chapters. So it talks about that, and then it also start highlighting where you need to focus. So, for example, if someone has to ask what is the purpose of employing, so it clearly comes down to the definition statement. What is definition of employing? Within that, what are the keywords? What does those word mean? So all of those sort of things are highlighted in the section for you. What has got changed from old standards to new standard is also basically given certain notes in the slides. So this is how we basically call out the slides, which clearly helps you on what to focus, where to focus, what you need to learn, what you need to remember, and also summarizing a lot of things. So let's say, for an example, organization independence impairment example. If you have to see these examples, it would be not available at one place. Probably you will have to read 20 odd pages to reach to come to a conclusion of what are the key examples of only independence impairment, and so objectivity and so many other ethics related aspect. So that summarizes all the examples at one place, and that helps you to better prepare for your exam. And like I said, every keyword that is important for you is sort of highlighted with certain notes, with certain highlight section, with certain bold section. And once you go through the session series, once I start explaining, you will get better clarity on why this is all relevant. But what I'm trying to give you a flavor of how the content is derived from the slides. People, not just this, after each of the concepts that we learn, we also do some MCQs. Like, for example, in the class, right in the class, we'll reach out the question, to we'll give you a minute to kind of read the question and then participate in answering those answers, and that also help you to uh, understand that more conceptually by doing MCQs. So it's not just reading or understanding. We also apply that via MCQs right in the class. So let's say, for example, we have covered this. So we'll do like couple of questions, and then we start disclosing the answers across the units and across the topics. So once we have done this, everyone, and this is, let's say we have done 10 to 15, 10 to 15 questions depending on the topic to topic, or sometimes even lesser, or something even more depending on the topic to topic. We then complete the slides. So once we have completed the slides, the next step is, everyone, we go through the glim content, and now this is where we read everything in the glim in the class. So let me just share maybe a glimpse book. So now what we do is we read this glim book, which is a digital book. Like I said, we read this word by word, and not just we read, we also highlight again for you that in the book where you need to focus. So everything that is critical, that is important for you, is sort of highlighted, discussed, read in the class, so that you know where you need to focus in the class, right? So this is how we approach on the glim. And then, everyone, this again doesn't end here. The next step is, now we'll do the MCQs. So beside the MCQs that we do on the slides, now we'll do more MCQs to get more hands-on on the chapter. And this is where we will do MCQs like this. For example, for unit 1 alone, in the previous batch that we completed, we did more than 46, 45 questions. And this is where we see that how the class is performing. So if you see, this is where, let's say, 39 odd people who have attended the class live and have appeared the MCQs, they basically, we see, okay, where where the class is going wrong, where the class is going correct, and how do we answer these situations. So this helps us with more clarity, and it gives us hands-on experience on how we are performing in the class. People, after we have completed the class, all of this goes uploaded in the LMS. So you want to re-practice this MCQs, you can always do re-practice this MCQs also. So this is the level of extent that we do to learn everyone and to get hands-on in terms of the content. So it makes it foolproof, almost foolproof. I'll not say it guarantees people, but it is a significant effort that goes in terms of learning and preparing for the exam, which gives you so much of confidence, that gives you so much of comfort to kind of prepare for this critical exam. I'll be very honest, everyone. It's not very easy exam, so you don't have to take it very lightly. Even if you go down, and if you have some form of experience, you can easily score 50, 55, 60%. It's not even without classes, you can score like 50 odd percent in the in the MCQs. The entire challenge comes as the conceptual clarity, and that will help you to cross 80. Sometimes in the class session series or your practice questions, you will not be able to reach out, but eventually in the exam you have to. So that's where we put a lot of efforts across content, across CLIM reading, across the MCQs. And like I said, our MCQs are not limited to only CLIM. We practice more from an experience standpoint of view, and that's how. And then we discuss. And then you also have the GLIM, which acts as your homework. You go on the GLIM and then practice additional MCQs just for more conceptual clarity from there. So this is how we do. And like I said, everyone, every unit we close with things to remember. This is where we follow a ritual in the class, which is where I read non-underlined part and you read underlined part so that these keywords stay in your mind for a longer time. And this plays a very important role when you do the MCQs also, and from an examination standpoint of view. So this is how we approach everyone. We cover via slides, then we cover the glim, like I said, word by word, so that you get a confidence. Then we do the MCQs, then we discuss the MCQs, and then we close with things to remember. So this is our flow, and that has given, I think, very positive results in the past. We probably have the best results in India, or maybe globally for that matter, so far, everyone. And this is all from a approach standpoint of view. Now, let me just share some schedule and some more aspects of what is GPC all about, so that you get some more understanding on what we are approaching, and then I'll keep the house open for Q&A. So everyone, the CIA Part 1 exam, we are going to have 23, close to 23 sessions, but sometimes it goes one plus or one minus also. Like for first batch, we did 24, the second batch, we did 23. So it all depends on the speed of the class. We are not in as rush, but we really want your conceptual clarity to be there. But tentatively, the schedule today is next week is when we start 23rd May 2026. We end up somewhere in the first week of August, and the session timing is going to be 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. IST in your time, and we generally recommend you to go for 2-3 weeks from the completion of batch for the exam. Everyone, the schedule of the classes is going to be like this. Today, on 16th of May, we are doing an orientation program. From Unit 1 to Unit 10, we will be doing across. And again, like I said, everyone, sometimes certain units may take a little more time, sometimes certain units may take a little lesser time, but this is all tentative and based on our experience. And this is where between 23rd to 2nd August, only on the weekends, we will do these sessions. All the sessions will be recorded. If you skip any of the session, you can always go back and look at the recording and come to speed, and then go through the flow of the class. So this is the schedule of the class, everyone. In terms of the cost now, just to touch upon the cost, people, you always have a choice to go on yourself, right? So you want to prepare yourself, you can always go and do independently. So if you go independently today and you just go on a GLIM website, and let's say you want to just purchase the digital book and the test bank, it will cost you close to $500. And if you go with some video lectures and a premium plan, it will cost you more than $1,250. And the numbers that I'm quoting it more is probably the currency rate was much lesser those days. I think the numbers have gone much higher. 499 is today. The dollar pricing is 95, so it will not be 43,500. It will be much higher. But now what I'm trying to say is, this is the cost that you pay. But however, today, everyone, at GPC Global Professional Certifications, the cost for entire package that is sort of increase probably from today is 60,000 plus taxes, which is what we are going to charge. That will give you access to not just what you were getting here, GLIM Digital Book and Test Bank, because we are an IA authorized learning partner and we have a tri-party agreement between IA India, Global Professional Certification, and Concord, which is GLIM authorized service provider, who basically provide GLIM content. to provide this GLIM content for learning partners at a more reasonable cost. And this is where our entire package is going to be 60,000 plus GST, but our discounts were valid till yesterday. But we have planned for people who have attended the orientation program to kind of try and register by tomorrow if you have not already, and at the same discounted price, which is the current price of 49,999 plus GST for all three parts. And if you're planning for one part, 19,919, which is almost 20,000, everyone, honestly. It's like 1 rupee. I don't know why they have kept less, but 20,000 plus GST is what you can think is the discounted price basically for the each part. And this also includes the claim content. All right. So this is the pricing that you have. Again, like I said, it's up to you. If you want to go yourself, feel free to go. Only thing is be wise in your choice because cost of reappearing is high. So if you're not able to clear, you almost pay the same amount for reappearing. Um, the classes just help you to navigate better, to know where do you want to focus, how does it help. In the interest of time and the busy schedule that we have, we really don't have time to explore, and that's where the classes help you to navigate better. Also, it gives you some industry insights as well from a practical islands and relevance islands, and also the community. So there are a couple of perks of being part of the community and part of the classes. But of course, it's a choice that you want to make. If you want to go alone yourself, you can follow the approach one or the approach two. Now, people, there are a lot of testimonials, so you can just go on Global Professional Certification website. So if you go on, let's say, I'll just open that for you. If you go on Global Professional Certifications, you can just probably on the website itself, you can go on the success stories page. You will see everything that is there, what we have achieved in the last 1 year, couple of months. So 1 year, 3 months. We have more than 37 video posts wherein people, sorry, please, could you please be hold for some time? Let me just quickly cover this and keep yourself on mute. My request to everyone who is whoever it is. All right, so you can just go on the page and you can see our video vault. You can see the stories which wherein people have wrote about us, and then you can see the wall of fame, which basically covers various people who have cleared challenge, part-wise CISA sessions, and the kind of organizations from where they are. You can explore this page later on, everyone. You can also see the events that we have participated across. So we really, really push our people. Once they pass out, they get visibilities across conferences, and that is where a lot of people who get qualified, we try to participate in different events and try to help them to be recognized. For example, everyone, if you see probably a page from a Mumbai chapter that happened this year. So these are the different people who got cleared last year, and every one of them got felicitated at IIA Bombay conferences. So we do are actively participating across the conferences since the day we incepted, right from 2025. December 24 is when we incepted. So actually January 25 was the first event that happened, everyone, in Bombay, and that's where our journey all started. And this is where a lot of the people who gets recognized as part of these conferences, everyone. So you can see what is upcoming. You can see on this website, and you can keep exploring, and you can reach out from the website itself, right from contact. If you want to buy the course, you can go to the course page and you can buy the course page online also. So this is all about us, people, in terms of our this is a learning partner between me and Mr. Mukundan. I'm sure you would have all heard about. He's the CEO for India, who has we were honored to kind of get the learning partner, probably the quickest way we could to take this up forward for the community. And there are various testimonials that we have received and various participations that we have done across the conferences. So this is all. People, our students are from top corporates, I think more than 250 plus organizations. And this is all that I have for you. I'll keep the house open for Q&A if any. So people, this is all from my end. Thank you so much for your time for being part of this. Happy to take up any questions that you have. Else, looking forward for you to see you in the classes next week, or if you have any other doubts, you can reach out to me separately also on my number. So any doubts, happy to have it. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining in. Can we have the house open for Q&A? Any doubts, happy to answer. Sushim Das is asking, what is 2 hours of ethics training? Okay, meanwhile, people, you can put your questions on the chat box. I'll take up the from the chat box itself. Sushim is asking, what is 2 hours of ethics training? So Sushim, basically, as part of your continuing professional education, 40 CPRs is what we need to complete. So various trainings that are conducted during the year. It could be your own organization training also if they give some CPRs credit for that. Or it could be from various other global professional certifications that you do. Like for example, if you're a ISACA member, or if you're a AICPA member, or if you're a ICI member, you even get those training certificates also. So any those trainings is relevant for 40, so first of all. Or I also do a lot of webinars, free, paid, networking, like I said, conferences, all of that gets some CPE credits. You can use that as overall 40. But this 40 should also include 2 hours of ethics training. Now, 2 hours of ethics training, generally, there is a training program that I India also conduct every year, which is on ethics. You should include that. And that will give you 2 hours of ethics training. Basically, ethics is nothing but it's one part of the section which talks about integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, then due professional care aspects for which the training is conducted, and that is something that we need to keep refreshing. That's one certificate that we need as part of the CP hours. I hope this is clear, Sushim. Aditya is saying, "Hi Arpit, I'm from civil engineering background and in total had around 3 years of experience in IA, including 2 years with KPMG GRCS domain. I want to know whether I'm eligible for enrolling." Yes, you're eligible, Aditya. So there's nothing that, okay, you have to be a BCom graduate. So if you're a civil engineer, or for that matter, any graduation, any post-graduation that you've done, you are very well eligible for it. And you can always enroll for the CIA program. So Aditya, there's no problem if you're a civil engineer. I mean, it doesn't say one has to be a BCom graduate or a BBA or BCom honors, or like only from for commerce graduate. It can be anyone. And in fact, this domain is something wherein we need to understand business. So in fact, today internal audit teams doesn't are only backed with only people with background with commerce, but we need people who have this versatile experience of being into engineering, tech, technology part, as well as the knowledge domain, right? So if I'm to audit a EPC company, probably I'll have to have people with your background there, right? So you are very well eligible there. Vaibhav is asking, can you please share more details on challenge course? So Vaibhav, that will be a very separate discussion, but I'll try to touch upon to the last on the challenge exam. Just hold on for some time on the challenge once, please. Merlin is saying, can you share this PPT in the group? So Merlin, this PPT gets uploaded on the LMS for which you all will be given access. Otherwise, this video also gets recorded and it's also available publicly on the YouTube. So generally, we every time upload our orientation program videos on the YouTube, so you can refer that. People, one call out, we don't give PPTs to download. So you can always get access either on the media, social media, or you can get access on the LMS. So orientation program PPTs are available on the YouTube. Our class PPTs in terms of the content is not downloadable. You can view it from the LMS. All right. So that is one thing. I hope people who have inquired have got that clarity. Rohit is asking, sir, if someone is an India member and want to give the exam from outside India, is it feasible? Yes, Rohit. So in fact, if you're an India member, you get an India pricing even if you are globally based out. So let's say if you're an India member, you pay $90 for the CIA registration, even sitting out of UK. Right. So, and then in fact, for in that case, another interesting part is that you don't have to pay even tax, because tax is computed based on the geography from where you are going to give the exam. So, for that matter, let's say if it's a $248 exam, in that case, people as an India member sitting in UK will be paying lesser than India member sitting in India because of the GST implication. But yes, to answer your question, Rohit, if you're an India member and you want to give exam outside India at an India pricing, you can give it. I hope this is clear and clear. Merlin, is this true that the CIA fees might be reduced in August or September? Interesting. That's like insider information, Merlin, you are sharing on the recorded video with me. See, there is some tentative news, everyone, and this is another recommendation that would be there, everyone. For example, you can always start your preparation from now, but somewhere in first week of August, we're expecting for India members alone, there could be some reduction in price, but this is not fixed. But I must say that you can wait for appearing for the exam, or let's say you can always start your preparation with the course. Any which ways, our course is going to be completed somewhere in August, right? So once you and for IA member, the IA membership fee, there's not going to be any reduction in pricing. So IA membership, you once you take an IA membership fee, we are authorized to give you the GLIM content. We'll give you the GLIM content, plus you can start your studying somewhere in the first week of August. When we complete the course, you are then eligible for registration, so you can register for your CIA course exam, and most likely it's going to be discounted rate. So Merlin, good that you mentioned about it, but it's like I can't officially say that, but yes, there is high possibility. High possibility, I must say. Ali is saying, thanks, Arpit. Apologize if you have already answered this. If I have paid entirely for the three-part GPC course, how will the 18 months timeline for claim be calculated? So, Ali, like I said, see, once you're paid for the course, you will get you will get the CLIM access codes, right? So you get CLIM access code for part one, part two, part three. 18 months gets calculated as soon as you activate the code. So that's separate. That's controlled by GLIM, right? So we give you the code, you get access once you activate it. So let's say you started preparing for part one. My suggestion is activate only part one code, right? After 2, 3 months, once you activate part two, then the 18 months will start from the day you activate a code. So I hope that is clear. So 18 months doesn't start from the day you register with us. 18 months doesn't start from the day when we give you the codes. 18 months start from the day when you activate your GLIM respective part code, right? So it's highly recommended which part you are doing, you can activate that code. I hope that's clear early. Komal is saying, do we need to pay fees for retake? Definitely, yes, Komal. That's the otherwise, honestly, these classes are not needed if you ask me. If we don't have to pay fees for retake, that's exactly what I said, right? The only concern is you have to score above 80 and you have to pay the same amount that you're that you're going for. That you're going to pay for the first time. So it's the same cost that you pay, and that makes the exam expensive. And of course, 80% makes it tricky, and that's why the classes literally help. Otherwise, if there's no payment for fee for retake, then it's very easy, right? So then we can keep reappearing that way. In fact, you have 8 attempts to kind of do it that way, but I think that's more than sufficient. Bahar, I talked about, could you please share the PPT aspect? It will be uploaded on the LMS as well as it will be on the YouTube also. So you can later on also access the same session that we are talking about. Anant is saying, how does the work experience need to be continuity to the get the certificate? So Anant, basically, work experience. Okay, good that you have touched upon this. So basically, it's again a declaration-based work experience. So first time when you create your profile, you can just put your manager's ID or any other INA member ID and mention your certificate experience detail, and the person will get a mail. And once the person approve, by default, then it goes to I Global, and then I Global review and approve that way. So that's how it is done. Work experience need to be continuity. No, it's not for continuity. It's not the experience that is needed. For continuity, you need to renew by paying the fee of the certificate renewal fee, as well as declare that you have completed so 40 CP hours. In fact, if you have moved out of the profession, your number of hours doesn't have to be 40, it has to be 20 actually, including 2 hours of ethics training if you want to maintain that certificate. But work experience is more from a exit requirement standpoint of it. Let's say you are not experienced, you're completely fresher, let's say a BCom graduate who is starting, you can start, you can complete. Meanwhile, once you complete your experience, then after that only, once you submit your proof, then only you will get the certificate copy. That's it. Asif is asking the CP hours that needs to be completed on online, offline events or on anything works, Asif. So mostly, many of it is online actually. If you ask me, there's so many webinars that has given certain credits that you can use. So it's not has to be offline or online. It could be either of it. Aditya is asking, okay, sure, thanks. Also, what sequence based on your experience you recommend for taking and preparing for the CI exam? I think part one, part two, part three. It could be part two also sometime first, but I'll definitely not recommend part three to go first because part three is very small. And unless we have cleared part one, part two, it becomes very tricky because some of the questions can come from the previous part. So either of it, like you can go part one first, or either you can go part two also straight first. People, when we do session series, let's say, had this been a part two orientation program, because it's not that part one always happened for the first time. Let's say if we would have done part two, and this would have been a part two session series, we would first cover in the first 3, 4 sessions, which is going to be 10 to 12 hours of session time. We'll be doing part one, and then we'll move to part two. So people who join Aditya, our session series, let's say we would have started part two. First, we would have done part one, not to the extent of 23 sessions, of course, but in 3, 4 sessions, we would have set the base and then move to part two. So people could have gone to part two also. But I don't recommend at this point of time to go straight for part three before you have done part one, part two. I hope that's clear. Earlier it was okay, but we have seen also the results not being honestly very positive straight away for people who've gone for part two. That's another way. But you're eligible. You want to go, you can go. But again, if people who come for part three straight, and then I strongly recommend, okay, look at part one sessions, look at part two, and then only go for part three so that you're better prepared. Karan is saying, hi, Arpit, does it require a total experience of 2 years in one organization? Overall, Karan, not in two, of course. Overall experience in two. And overall experience, not just internal audit, it could be operational risk management, um, anything around the risk place, right? So it's not that it has to concurrent audit, anything. It's not like 2 years of experience has to be core internal audit that way. Amrita is saying the new edition of GLIM CIA review is coming in June 2026. What does this mean? Saw this on GLIM website. there are minor updates, Amrita, that keep happening, right? So you don't have to worry what we are covering in the session. If you have already enrolled, whatever you're issued, it will get automatically updated. So that's why I mentioned, right, digital books, digital content is what we give, so that whenever this kind of things happen, it just refreshes your software and you get the latest piece, right? So see, every publisher keep updating, right? So in fact, what you see on our slides versus what you would have seen last year, orientation would also be different that way, Amrita. So in fact, that also happens every batch. So let's say what our batch two slides would be on versus what batch three slides would be, there could be some minor changes here and there. So always everyone improve, right? So that's where the year-on-year addition works. So you don't have to worry. There's no change in syllabus as such. They may, based on their learning, based on their feedback, based on their revisit, they may be refining the content a little better. I hope that's clear. Vijay is saying, thanks, Arpit. Given my experience of more than 15 years in GRC, primarily within the second line of defense, I wanted to understand how beneficial this background would be while pursuing the CIA certification to clear and get opportunities outside India. So I think Vijay, 15 years of experience is a good amount of experience on the GRC second line risk management. So I'm sure you have the context on whatever we are going to talk about. So of course your experience will help you to get the conceptual clarity much faster. Also see sometimes once because if we have not gone something like this as a course, we may be working whatever we have been told or whatever we've learned on the way, which is very, very important. But this course actually helps you to get little better clarity on certain concepts. So that's how it helps you on what you're doing, better terminologies, better conversations, better clarity, better confidence. So definitely it's going to help. And CI is like I said, is a very prominent certification that one is looking at now. Um, uh, um, and when we talk about global, it becomes more like a mandatory thing. We have started receiving calls for almost like 1.5, 2 years now, wherein people from Middle East, people from UK, and the other geographies are calling us saying that this is sort of mandatory for them to hold that positions that they are on to, and they have to complete CIA. So I think opportunity wise, any openings will help you to get the entry with this, and of course the clarity of the concepts that you will build. Plus, of course. This will help you from a long-term standpoint of view also, right? Because this ad gets added forever, sort of it. So I hope that helps then, Vijay. If you have any queries, happy to answer. But outside India, this becomes more relevant. In fact, like I said, in India, it's also relevant now. Um, Merlin is clear. Lakshmi saying, would the 2025 or 26 version be applicable for this year exam? Not clear. What 25, 26 version? Are you talking about uh, GLIM content, Lakshmi? I'm not clear. What are we talking about here? Could you please type in what do you mean by 2025, 2026 version? What version are we talking about? Is it the GLIM content? If you're talking about GLIM content, you don't have to worry. Like I said, it will be minor changes. It's not really the concept change. If anything comes, you can look at it. Whatever we are going through is beyond GLIM also sometimes, like I said. So whatever we are going to cover in the class is going to be more than sufficient. Ali saying, thanks, Arpit. That clarifies. See you next week. See you next week, Ali. 80% criteria be applicable for each section and are also on total. So it's total, Lakshmi, actually. It's not each section, total level, 80% of the part one exam. So it's not each section based on weightage you get. In fact, that weightage is tentative. It's not like 35% is the weightage. You mean 125 into 35% is the exam question that you'll get. No, it's all tentative. You have to score overall 80%. He was saying, hi Arpit, in your approach, is there any time slot allotted for discussing GLIM MCQs? Need not be all the MCQs, but at least for with some confusion, questions which need some additional explanations to understand the concept better. So Hema, here basically, see the kind of learning that we build. Ideally, we should not reach to that stage. If you really ask me, we do significant amount of learning in the class, right? So, like I said, we do from the slides, then we read the GLIM content, then we do various MCQs on the PPT, then we do various MCQs on the Google Form. So more or less you're clear. And not just that, GLIM also give the explanation, right? So it's not that the GLIM doesn't give the explanation, it also give you the explanation. Additional benefit is that you can always post it on a WhatsApp group, and we have like I said, 400 odd learners, 300 plus learners, out of which many of would have already cleared. So it's a very participated group. You can always post your question, and generally it's a very discussion based, and you'll get the clarity. If you still have some doubts, we don't do a specific session for this because there has never been a need of one. But people do post sometimes on personalized group and reach out personalized, and that's where we can answer. Or otherwise, the best way to do it is reach out on the group wherein though so many people have already cleared and there are so many people who are preparing and will share the perspective and somehow you will get it, and that's we have seen getting auto solved. right? Like I said, because of the kind of learning that we built, we have not got into a need to do an additional MCQs. We have already doing 23 sessions alone for part one, and 30 sessions for part two that way. So I think once you go through it, you should not feel there's a need. And if you feel, you can always reach out on personalized message or on the group, like I said. Okay, so Karan is saying, thanks, Arpit. See you next week. Lovely to Karan. Komal is saying, can you please guide us on how one should progress with the preparation apart from weekend classes to complete the syllabus in 3 months? So, Komal, 3 months is a very long time. In fact, if you ask me, or if you're talking about just part one, uh, I would say you can do 3 months, all three parts that way. So, idea is even if you
That's
do,
because you've cleared it.
right? So, no, you're saying I have cleared it?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's easy for everyone, right? I mean, if you've already cleared it, it's
No, no,
easy
no,
to
no,
say,
no.
right? That's what I'm telling.
Honestly, I cleared in a much longer time. I'll be honest,
Okay.
right? Because those days, neither the classes was like this, and plus, of course, uh, I mean, there was no aspiration also to be clearing it in 3 months. I'll be honest, but
Yeah, I
but
mean, but sorry to say that, but
hmm.
3 months, three parts, I think it's a little difficult. That's what I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just
that's okay. But
trying to say.
what I was trying to say, Komal, is that it is achievable because we have done and we have seen people achieving it. Honestly, I have not done in 3 months. I probably took almost all 3 years to do it, right? So it was never on the top priority when I was doing back in those days. In fact, I was clearing each part and I was doing the sessions. I'll be honest, that way.
So
But to some,
Arpit, I'm basically asking for part one preparation. So
right, I was
we
coming on that.
haven't learned,
I was
learned
coming
part,
on.
yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I was coming on that. So what you can do is, I was to simplify what I was trying to say, Komal, is that see, 3 months is easy doable. Apart from weekends, the best way is to revise and stay consistent on the weekdays. In fact, another way that you all can explore is you are all have access to the previous batch also. So Komal, it's not that you get only access to the live batch that is happening. People who enroll will also get can also take the access to the previous batch. So if you want to expedite the journey, that okay, I don't want to have to wait for the next weekend to start the class. I want to expedite the journey. You can always look at the batch two recordings, right? So previous batch, basically, when I say batch two, is previous batch of the new syllabus, which was second batch. We are going to do third batch in the new syllabus. We have done many batches in the old syllabus, but you can always look at those recordings and expedite. So if you want to study on the weekdays, 1.5 hours of time, then you can always study on a continuous basis by looking at the recordings. Use live session for revision also, and then expedite and sort of clear it. So a lot of people just look at the recordings also and clear it, right? So it all depends on what they have to follow. But even if you spend one hour and some extra hours on the weekends and prepare your mind such a way that okay, I have to appear in 1.5 months, 2 months, whatever time, 3 months, you can always do that. I hope that makes sense, Komal.
Yeah, okay.
Uh,
Thank you, Arpit. But
hmm.
do you suggest some MCQs for homework for the next weekend? So whenever we will be coming for the next session, we will be prepared for the current session.
Like I
So
said,
do
so
we have any?
we don't give homework. We rather want everyone to do everything in the class because we understand that everyone is very busy. So in fact, we
Mm,
want everything what we give at least you cover in the class, and we don't give anything for homework. The only expectation is that okay, we have done let's say for 50 odd MCQs for the unit one. If you want to practice more, you can just go on the Glim portal and do it when the sessions are happening, so that towards the end you don't accumulate. Okay, now I have done the session series after 3 months. Now let me start picking up the Glim, that will delay much later. So let's say we have done the unit one on in the first three sessions. So it's expected that okay, whenever you get time during the week, before we start the unit two, at least cover that claim content. That will give you the consistency. But otherwise, also we would
okay.
have covered already the MCQs. Whatever is relevant, whatever is critical, whatever was important for concept building, we have already covered. But if you still want, like I
Okay.
said, that's for you to get additional comfort. That's for you to do additional practice. You can go on the Glim portal to kind of do that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Jagir, and like I said, Komal, we don't need 3 months to study, all right? So for this exam, we need effectively, if you ask me, 23 sessions into three is what close to 60, 70 hours of study time, right? So we need 70 hours of study time. So you want to do it in 3 months, or anyone has to do every day 1 hour? It could be like 70 days that way, but it's like 70 hours of study time, right? So if you want to do it in 10 days, 7 hours each, also it is achievable. But we expect that okay, 70 to 80 hours is effective time for doing part one that way. And it's still on the higher side of what the way we have approached the session series as compared to global. Global still says maybe lesser hours that way. Okay. I'll come now to
Okay.
Jagir. Thank you so much, Arpit, for the detailed orientation, answers all the questions. Lovely, Jagir. Yes. Thanks, Arpit. That clarifies. See you next week. Lovely. Komal only part one. How many mock exams can be taken, Glenn? So, Amrita, there are, I think, it's a mix actually. You get unit-wise MCQs, then with the same MCQs, you can get the mock exam also. All right. So, I think it may be one or two, or you can just mix and match. So, there are various ways to do the MCQs on the GLIM. You can do it unit-wise, within unit topic-wise also, and then you can mix it all and then also choose the exam. So it's all how you want to do it. The easiest and the better way is that, okay, you pick a unit, do whatever topics you have covered in the class, and keep doing it. Towards the end, you can just randomly choose, okay, mock exam, and it will just mix the same question and will give you. It's not that it will have a new variety of exam there. Okay,
Okay.
Amrita? Yeah.
Just a quick thing, but do we have a limit as to how many mock exams we can take, or we can take as many as we want?
It's just a mix of the same question, right? So you can keep doing it whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, that way.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, great. Anant is saying, hi, is there any specific kind of work that would be preferred, or any work X is welcome, and does it need to be in continuity? No, it doesn't have to be continuity, Anand, like overall 2 years. And when I say preferred for any work, like specific kind of work, no, actually there are multiple, right? So if you have been in the domain and if you have experience around in any of these domains, like I said, internal audit, operational risk, enterprise risk, um, concurrent audits, or any form of risk control, GRC roles, should help. That's what we're trying to say here. Okay, Anant. If you still have doubt, you can reach out to me separately. So with that, I have sort of covered all the questions. I'll just cover and pick up Vaibhav's question that is left, everyone. That's on the CIA challenge exam. So in fact, we are starting a CIA challenge batch, everyone, on the same day of the part one. This is in collaboration with IA Bombay. In fact, I've been doing this since last almost 3 years. This is going to be the eighth batch that we'll be going through it. So Vaibhav, just to simplify, you people with CA background or CISA background or the ACCA background, and likewise maybe another 10, 12 bodies can go for a single exam. If you have more than 10 years of experience, you can go for this exam. Um, it's like a one-shot exam. Ultimately, you have to study the same thing, like all that we study in part one, part two, part three, combined together is what is challenge exam. You go and sit for one exam. The cost is like again an accumulated cost. So it's like for each part you pay close to $700 odd. Likewise for challenge exam, you give at one time $700. Um, Interesting part is if you clear in one go. Difficult part is if you don't clear, you don't clear at all, and you have to study all three parts altogether. Cumulatively, it's heavy in terms of the content. We have 150 MCQs, same 80% and above to clear this exam, and this is how it is, right? So, if you have any other requests or any other queries on the challenge exam, you can reach out to me separately. I'll be happy to kind of explain. Pathways is more progressive. Challenge exam, once you have taken and registered, you will have to appear in 180 days. Pathways, you have the flexibility to appear in 3 years, right? So that's how it is in terms of the exam. So yeah, Vaibhav, that's about it. I think we have to pay close to 850 odd dollars for the exam fee at this point of time. And again, there is an expectation that some fee can get reduced for INDA members somewhere in August. So we have the batch again started for challenges exam also on same 23rd May next week. But that for that, if you have interest, you can reach out to IIM Bombay for the enrollment for that. Okay. So this is all from my end, everyone. Thank you so much once again. I think we are all clear. Lovely, everyone. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good day. All the best in whatever you're doing. It was pleasure meeting you all. Thank you once again. All the best. Good luck. Take care, everyone. Bye bye. Thanks.
Thanks, Arpit.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thanks, Arpit.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arpit.
Thank you.